there we go. Love it, love it. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. My daughter was playing up this evening, so just like
Oh,
I just had to get her to bed.
how old is she?
Uh, she's like 1.5.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so she's
Yeah.
just busy, busy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. She's entering. I don't know if she's entering a tantrum stage, but she's throwing a bit more tantrums
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
than normal. So I'm
She
just
knows
like,
what she wants. The good sign.
that's the thing. She has choice now, so she's exercising that right.
Yeah.
But I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that. But it's cool. But thank you for joining me, man. This is the first 21 questions of 2021. Say woo woo. Uh, so you need to like reached out to me earlier at the end of 2020, and I thought, okay, I've never heard of Sheila before, and I did some digging, and I was like, man, I'm excited. I'm excited because you're doing so many amazing things. And, 21 Questions is all about, uncovering that and just letting people know the great things that people are doing. So
Thank you.
seeing how much you've achieved and even more that you're going to achieve, I'm just so happy. So we're going to get into it today. So for those that's joining us, this is 21 Questions. And what we do on 21 Questions, we invite guests on every week, Thursday, 9 p.m., and we unpack their story, all right, the highs, the lows, just to give us a context and understanding what it is to be them and to do what they do best. And today we have Sheila Nortley. I'm going to give you the opportunity. If you could how would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Sheila Nortley and I am a screenwriter and director.
Love it. Do you do many talks?
Sorry?
Do you like to do many talks?
Do I have to do many talks?
Yeah, then do you like to do many talks?
Yeah, I like to obviously talk about what I do and meet new people and so on. But a lot of the time I do like to just kind of be in my space writing because that's my passion. Sometimes
Yeah.
with the talking, yeah, it's out of my arena, out of my remit. But yeah.
Yeah. Please forgive me. I'm wearing a hat. I find it rude but I ain't been barbers for. Oh, but as a guy.
It's lockdown. Like,
Yeah. Thank you.
just trying to make it work.
I haven't been to the day I was going to go to the barbers. Our Uncle Boris came and said there's another lockdown, and I was like, this is before Christmas. I was like, Boris, man, I can't do my own hair yet, so this is how I go.
Say hello to Tolu, who's in the chat in the comments. He's a young actor who has been messaging me about working and about finding more opportunities, and he's just so hungry and so on it. So I've seen him in there. I just wanted to big him up and say hello.
Tolu, that's right.
Yeah.
Tolu, big up Tolu. Big up for your persistence. Stay hungry. You're gonna get it. We're gonna get this year, 2021. So we're gonna start off. We're gonna start off with a quick fire session. So quick fire, rapid fire questions. Don't need to think about it too much, and then we'll get into the main bit. Is that cool?
That's cool.
Now you have one pass card. So if there's a question you do not want to answer, you can use your pass card.
Okay. Can I just say though, that you said all the questions are just going to be so easy and straightforward. So I'm like, oh my God, now there's a pass card. I'm like, what's he going to ask me? Like, now?
No, I won't throw you in hot water. Don't worry. Anytime, but you can use it. It's good for you to know that you have it.
Yes.
If you ever want to use it. Okay, so number one is who would you say is a favourite actress or actor of yours in the UK?
In the UK?
Yeah.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Ooh.
I think he's incredible. I just think he's fantastic and he's doing so well and it's beautiful to see it.
Yeah.
But there are so many. I love Purcell Ascot, who's actually a friend of mine.
Okay.
And just seeing him perform, having worked with him as well, he just puts 110% into every single performance. So those are the two that spring to mind.
What is it about Daniel's performances that you love the most?
I just think they're so genuine and they're so versatile. And I feel like as a person, he eludes confidence in his own skin. Do You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And I think as an actor, you need to be able to do that. You need to be so comfortable in your skin that you can transcend who you are and be all these other people. But it comes with like a self-assurance, and I think he really has that. I just think he's incredible. I loved him incredibly. I loved him in everything that he is.
Yeah, he's got this quiet confidence.
Yeah.
Like he's not very out there, but he doesn't need to be, because his presence it says it enough. Yeah, definitely.
There's something about him that I find really fascinating, and all the roles that he's played, I've just really enjoyed, and I've been really convinced by them.
Yeah, 100%. One film you wish you made or wrote?
Wish I made Malcolm X.
Ooh.
Yeah, Malcolm X. Like, that film is just a classic, and obviously Malcolm X as a person was someone I think every filmmaker would have loved the privilege to immortalize, in that sense, you know. That's like true. Who he was as a character, as a person, as a soul, on the screen. Obviously Denzel Washington was incredible in it, but it's just a fascinating story to tell. The inspirational man. And I remember reading his biography, no problem, Tolu. Reading his biography as a teenager, it was life-changing. So definitely Malcolm X.
Yeah, I love it. What has helped you the most in lockdown? What has helped you the most get through lockdown?
My family, just having that strong support network of family and friends, people that I can communicate with, people I can share with, people I can be vulnerable with when I'm having rough days. Obviously, we know that beyond the squares of the gram, the reality of life is its ups and downs, you know, and 2020 was rocky for everyone. So just having people, human interaction, even though we can't necessarily see each other as much, but just knowing that just a WhatsApp or a phone call away. So friends and family have kept me completely sane.
Beautiful, beautiful. Best piece of advice that you have ever received? What's the best piece of advice you have ever received and kind of taken with you?
Oh my God. Best piece of advice. Best piece of advice was, in terms of my career, was given to me by Tim Reed, director. He's a Hollywood director. And it was to always know what your propaganda is before making anything, any film, any short film, any TV show idea. What is the message behind what you want? Hello, Kweku.
Pick up, Kweku.
What is the message behind it? What's your propaganda? He explained to me that the industry we're in is the propaganda business, and that before you create anything, before you write anything, before you even start to conceptualize, know what your propaganda is and the message it is you want to share. So that was the best piece of advice I've ever received.
That's deep. So whenever you create, you kind of create from that kind of advice. It's always something in your mind.
Definitely. And if I'm not able to create from a conceptual stage, because sometimes people might come up to me already with a concept in mind and say, can you write this or can you direct this? I also have to think, okay, even with this piece, what is my objective? What do I want to show? How do I want to portray women? How do I want to portray Black people? How do I want to portray love? Like, what am I trying to say within this?
That's beautiful. I love that. £8 million. If you won £8 million today, what would you do with it?
Relocate, first of all.
that was on the tip of your tongue.
Literally, what would I do? I would relocate. I think the first thing I'd want to do is create a base for myself outside of the UK. I don't know if it's controversial or if everyone's on the same page, but I feel right now, particularly in the UK and the US, a lot is happening, and it just doesn't feel like a peaceful environment to live in. I'd love to just get some money and move to somewhere really beautiful. And obviously with 8 mil, I could kind of take my time in terms of work. Enjoy life, be able to be present. I think that's the thing that money allows us and affords us, is that freedom to just be present. Whereas when you don't have less money, you're kind of hustling and grinding and trying to make things work. But when, you know, for anyone who says money doesn't matter and so on, I get the principle, but you do need it to be able to have a level of freedom where you don't have to think about, you know.
I love what you said about living, because I've always felt that money may not be everything, but what money does, it does enable you to put something, like you said, shift your attention. So
Yeah.
rather than your attention being money, 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 you can actually
live.
live. Like when you watch these things and people are scuba diving or looking at the court, they're not doing anything extraordinary.
Yeah.
They're just doing things that we would do if we weren't thinking about money.
Yeah,
Surviving. There we go.
Surviving. We're thinking about bills. We're thinking about, you know, how we just to survive and sustain ourselves. And it takes a lot of brain power and energy, you know. And I would just like to be able to live.
I feel you, Sheila. I'm with you. Oh gosh. What would be a perfect day for you? A perfect day in the life of Sheila? What would that look like?
Off the back of what I just said, a perfect day would involve being somewhere like Ghana, you know, waking up to sunshine, waking up to beautiful weather and a beautiful breakfast. Thank you, Romario. Nice to see you here. Miss your smile. And got the most beautiful smile in the world.
You got Romario.
So yeah, just waking up somewhere warm, waking up somewhere beautiful, waking up surrounded by my people. So I would just love to be in that kind of environment, and just having a peaceful day with my family, with my children, being able to write, which is what my passion is obviously the screenwriting. So being able to write would be, and just spending the day doing that, again, just living and existing. It kind of goes off the back of what I do with the 8 mil, just freedom.
Freedom, man, freedom. What's the greatest lesson your children have taught you? Greatest lesson your children have taught you?
What? It's a profound one, but the greatest lesson they've taught me, when you are just doing everything for yourself, there is a cap in terms of your level of responsibility and accountability. You can kind of do whatever you want, particularly if you're someone who doesn't, I don't know how to put it, who doesn't know themselves very well or love themselves very much. You can kind of take certain risks, because when you have children, you love them so much and you are invested in their well-being. The level of accountability and responsibility goes through the roof, and therefore makes you more resilient. Like, because I love those little people so much, brought out a passion in me, a strength in me, and accountability in me that I can't settle for things I would have settled for less, be that in relationships, be that in career, be that in my general day-to-day life. In loving myself and looking after myself and trying to do better, I am giving them a foundation in which to have a more fulfilled life.
I love that. I recently started therapy, and one of the main instigators of that was my child, my daughter, because for me to be a good father, I feel there's certain things that I need to sort out. But just like you said, that greater responsibility and accountability is forcing me to do that. It's forcing me to upskill, etc. So children really bring out another side of you.
If it's just you, like you said, that need for therapy or that desire for therapy has always been there, but there wasn't that incentive that I need to do this for people that literally mean the world to me, and you know that they're relying on you to be okay, work on yourself and to heal. So yeah, biggest lesson.
What gets you angry?
That's such a big question. What gets me angry? I'm pretty chilled, you know. I'm not gonna lie.
That's good.
I'm pretty chilled. I'm trying to think. I don't like. It's gonna sound like a silly one, but I don't like injustice, and I mean that sincerely. So like, as little as, for example, when I used to watch EastEnders back in the day, and they used to like send you on this kind of, you know, goose chase as to who killed whoever, and then the wrong person gets, you know, blamed. Things like that, when justice isn't served, that really does wind me up and frustrate me. But generally, it takes a lot, like in terms of personal stuff, to make me angry. I don't really get angry that quickly.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
What makes you the happiest then? When are you the happiest?
Hi, Dion.
Hey, big up Dion Reed.
Things that make me happy, on kindness, love, compassion, just seeing, like, I guess it's, again, we're in a time of great superficiality and ego and individualism, just based on the nature of the society that we live in. We're in a social media society, we're in a digital society, we don't connect as much. Therefore, when I see genuine human interaction, genuine acts of love and compassion that are not done for the gram or for any other validation, but out of sincerity, it just reminds us that we are truly human beings, and we still feel and we still care. So all of that kind of stuff makes me happy.
Love it. You're doing well so far. 3 more.
3 more and we're finished?
No. This is the warm-up. We're just warming you up.
Okay.
This is just the warm-up. When's your proudest moment? What is your proudest moment, shall I say?
Proudest moment. I've had a few. In terms of career or personal?
Give me personal.
Personal, I would say my son's first parents' evening. He's only 5 years old. But in the lockdown, they had to do it on the phone, and the teacher called me and she just said, "Your son is one of the kindest little boys I've ever met in my life." And she said, "I look forward to coming into school each day to teach him, because he's just so lovely. I want to sit with him and read, and he's just like a ray of sunshine and kindness." And like, for me to have been able to nurture that, I think it was already in him. I think he's just a kind heart, but for me to be able to nurture that, you know, you have children in the school who are like hitting people or being rude and using bad language, and I just felt really, really proud that I was able to nurture that, and I hope I can continue to nurture that in a tricky world, you know, just have someone having a big heart. So in my personal experience, that was one of the proudest moments for me. And
are there things in particular you did to nurture that?
Yeah,
like on purpose, intentionally?
I think so. I think like just encouraging it, you know, anytime that I saw that kind of behavior, anytime I saw that element of his character, I would just encourage it and reinforce it as good behavior. You know, and I guess, again, that self-awareness of like trying to embody that, trying to be kind, because they're looking at us, and again, it's more what we just tell them. They're watching. How do you treat your friends? Like, are you telling lies? Are you doing this? Trying to be an example, you know, and have that accountability. Better human being.
Love it. Big up to him. What's your favorite Mauritian episode?
Mauritian?
Yeah. Favorite Mauritian episode?
The one where she first met Ohaji.
Big up Ohaji. I remember Ohaji.
I remember him, and he was like literally like the love of my life on screen. I was like, be real. And he used to do the poetry, but he was a naughty boy, if I remember correctly. But Ohaji.
Big up Ohaji. And finally, what's your favorite Netflix series at the moment?
I haven't watched literally anything at the moment. I want to watch Bridgerton.
Okay.
I haven't watched that.
My wife's been binging on that.
Yeah, everyone's binging on that. Thank you, Chino. Thank you. Yeah.
I've just finished watching something called Grand Army.
Is it good?
Anybody that's here and you've seen it, don't spoil it. Let's just say I watched it and I thought of you.
Really?
So the way you write and the way you turn your narratives on its head, I thought of you. So go and like, there's certain storylines, and there's certain, it's the characters. There's certain things about the characters.
People are agreeing with you. Is that
Grand Army?
Oh,
yeah, I really.
Okay.
Who's spoiling it? Who's giving spoilers? Tolly says Grand Army is fantastic.
I've never heard of it.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's your homework. So go and watch Grand Army. All right. Well, this is your quick fire session done. That was just light work. How do you feel? And we check in.
Cool. Like, I feel good. I haven't had to use my pass card yet. I feel in a good place, but I feel like you're gonna do something wild now.
Big up to everyone that's just joined us. We are talking with Sheila Nortley. This is 21 Questions. This is the sit down. We do this every Thursday, 9 p.m. And we get different guests, unpack their story, shine light on the amazing work that they're doing. So make sure you're following us. And if you want to check out any more of the episodes from 2020, we've got 36 episodes. Goodness me. Click the link in the bio and watch them all on our YouTube channel. All right, let's go. So I want to start from kind of the beginning. And watching, like with my daughter, when I'm with my daughter, I always catch myself thinking, when she's 24, all the things, whether it's the music we play, whether it's what we watch, whether it's how we speak, whether it's how me and my wife are, I always wonder, what would she say when she's 24 about her childhood and how it shaped her? I always wonder. And just like you mentioned about being intentional and showing, giving that example, I wanted to know how your childhood kind of shaped who you are, you know, today, whether positively or negatively.
Right. So my childhood, I see how the questions are just deepening now. My childhood was generally quite happy. It was filled with love and family, cousins. I have 3 sisters. And yeah, as I said, literally loads of cousins. And I felt really blessed and fortunate that we had each other to support and encourage and inspire each other. My childhood was shaped a lot by my older sisters. The eldest she's always that kind of sensible and responsible and kind-hearted person. And I think she inspired that gentleness, which I really admired in her, a really kind of peaceful nature. And my second sister, she was very much into, she joined an organization called the Pan-African Congress Movement, at which point I was a teenager. So when I was like 13, 14, 15, she was very much into Pan-Africanism. And so during my formative years, I had that influence already, that wow, black is beautiful, dark skin is beautiful, and a lot of like black history, just like, it was my first experience of it when I was about 13, 14. That's when I started reading Malcolm X's biography, Assata Shakur's biography, and just already starting to challenge information that was being sent my way in terms of beauty, what it is to be beautiful, for example, as a black woman in the UK and so on. So that really allowed me to start challenging the status quo in terms of representation. But yeah, generally I grew up in a really loving environment. Generally, yeah. Nice.
What was your relationship with your parents like?
My relationship with my parents was good. Me and my mother were really, really, really close. She's my best friend. She still is my best friend. And she's literally the most beautiful person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And obviously my dad as well. I'm actually a daddy's girl, despite how much I love my mum. I'm a daddy's girl. Even till now, when my dad tells me he's going away on holiday, I'm like I miss him. No one's perfect, and I think as I got older, I began to understand some of the issues they'd had, you know, within their relationship, and just as people, certain decisions that they had made in their youth, and in their marriage. Love my parents a bit, and I'm very, very close to both of them. And they are the kind of parents that if ever I was in trouble, even to this day, if ever I need them, they're there. So that gave me a really strong foundation again.
I love that. Do you know why? Because again, I didn't hear about. I've never known about you before. Yeah. But when I did the Googles, when I did the research, when I looked at your interviews, you spoke with such confidence. You would always speak with such surety, such pride in yourself.
Thank you.
And the things that you did, you never, even though, and we're going to talk about your accolades, but you never bought into them because you seemed very centered. Like those were great things, but as a person, it was more about your purpose and what you're achieving. And so you putting those pieces together from your mother, the love of your mother, the friendship, but your father also, combining them together.
Yeah.
It's no wonder, because that must create a certain type of person.
Thank you so much.
Mm.
And I think, thank you, Zara. With my dad, what my dad instilled in me from a young age was to never apologize for your blessings, never apologize for your greatness. My dad worked very, very hard. My dad is he's a doctor. He came over from Ghana and he put in the work. And even now, I wonder how it must have been in those days, coming from Ghana as a black man to the UK, the racism that he must have experienced. But he built and built and built. And therefore, he would say to me, never apologize for what I've built for you and for who you are. And I'll be honest with you, as most young women, I had huge amounts of insecurity in my teens and my early 20s. And even now, you know, people say, like Zara said, I exude a lot of fierceness. Like, I don't even see that. So I'm like, I don't think I'm that fierce. Like, but what it is there's something that my parents gave me, which is just always know who you are, know where you came from, and just stay sincere. And I got that from my mother. She's very humble. She's very down to earth. And then that balance with my father as well, just saying, just be proud of yourself, be proud of who you are, and just keep shining.
Yeah, that's shout out to our parents. Big up mummy, big up daddy. Yeah. How does this then inform, or has it informed how you parent yourself, your two children?
How has my parents parenting? How has that informed my parenting?
Yeah,
I've learned a lot from them in terms of what I want to do, because there were things that were quite rare. So, and again, as I grew up, I realized maybe some of my friends who didn't maybe have their dad around, or their relationship with their mum wasn't the same as mine. It made me value. Thank you, David. It made me value, like, you know, what I had, and I wanted to make sure that I also continue that. At the same time, because I love my parents and I honor my parents, I don't feel right to go into their business. But there were also things that I realized I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? And even looking at aunties, uncles, that whole generation, a lot of them made certain decisions based on culture, based on tradition, in terms of how to keep the family together and certain things, even though it might not necessarily be always in the most healthy environment, if you know what I mean. So I try and take the good from what I learned from my parents, and then also hopefully improve where possible. But I was honestly raised in a lot of affection. Like my parents both used to tell me they loved me. They used to tell me I was beautiful. They used to give me cuddles, and that's something I want to teach my children. I don't want them to be in an environment where they're not told they're loved and so on. So I tell my children I love them all the time, cuddle them excessively, and try to generate a safe space, like, for them to express their emotions and all of this kind of stuff, you know. And also, I apologize when I'm wrong as well, which I think is really important.
Do you know what? Are you on Clubhouse at the moment?
You're the second person who's asked me that today. I'm not, but I need to be.
Sheila, please come on down. Do you know what? This conversation is something that does come up quite regularly on Clubhouse, of people, especially from the African diaspora, talking about that childhood trauma. And one of the things that really is repeated consistently is this thing about apologizing, and how people didn't have a voice. But that simple element of a parent admitting when they were wrong, or admitting when they just didn't get it right, they thought it would go a long, long way. And I think for you to mention that it's an amazing thing, because it does remind children that as adults, as parents, in quotes, this new label we have, we're just big children. We're just big children who
we make mistakes, you know, and they see the humanity in us. You know what I mean? Like, they see the humanity in us.
100%. You said a quote in one of your interviews. Are you ready for this quote?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said, "You just have to build for them." And you're referring to your children. You just have to build for them. And one of the biggest debates, especially with women, is, can a woman have it all? Can she have a thriving career, but also have a thriving family? And I wanted to ask what your thoughts on that, because I know you mentioned about you know, having to move to Manchester and do bits there with schools, etc.
Yeah.
What do you think on that, and how do you balance it?
I think it's quite a juggling act, and it's not easy. It definitely depends on your level of support as well. If you have your other half there, if you're a single mom, if you have support from your family, from your friends. It's a tough one. I think it's down to each individual capacity as well, because to some extent something has got to give. You know, like you have your household, you have how you like to, for example, keep your space. Do you like it to be tidy? Do you like it to be organized? That takes an investment of time. Then there's kind of your friendships, your family, your children, their education. Then there's financially what you want to put in place. There's just so many different elements and so many different moving parts. It's kind of down to each individual. I definitely think a woman can have it all. But again, it's down to that individual in terms of how she has it all and in what capacity. Because some women don't necessarily want to have it all. They want to focus on one area of their life. And I think that's completely valid too. Or 2 areas of their life, or 3. Like you might be able to have a thriving career and raise your children, but maybe not have time for, I don't know, fitness and nutrition and a balanced diet. So yeah, like the lady at
Almeri,
your priorities. And I think with women, we're not a monolith. Everyone has different priorities and they're all valid. So I'm just like, do you, sis? Like, I wouldn't judge a sis for whatever she decides to do and how she decides to prioritize.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. I think it's letting women know that they don't have to be all. They don't have to be all. You can choose what, you know, what you, and if you were, if you chose to place more value on your family home as opposed to your career, that's fine. And if you chose to place it on your career, as long as you said, like you said, if the setup is there, hey presto, it's amazing. Someone said, this makes me think of colorism in the acting industry. Okay, interesting. We might get you on next week to explain that. Authenticity is key. I want to move on to your accolades. Another quote you said in an interview. Every single time you say it.
I get scared when you say these. I've said these things. I'm like, what did I say? I don't remember half the time.
You said, I don't want to be remembered. I want to be someone who always made you remember. I don't want to be remembered. I just want to be someone who always made you remember. And, you know, again, someone who is from the outside looking in, I didn't know who you are, but looking through the work you've done, I have to applaud you because you do that.
Thank you.
Even though your name is on the tin, I remember what's inside the tin.
Yeah.
And that's what really, that's what really stands out. And to the point, so much so, when I watched big up Delia, when I watched Grand Army, that's how I thought of you. Because you didn't even do anything to do with it, but the work reminded me of your work and what you're doing. So you won the BFM Awards in 2009, Women of Future Awards 2016. You were in Downing Street 2018, Associate Fellow of the Royal Commonwealth Society, your Sky deal. You have accolades upon accolades. And I wanted to ask you, what does success mean to you personally?
I think you summarized it in that initial quote, which was making people remember, having a career that allows people to reconnect with their humanity and a bigger purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's what I meant in that quote, that I don't want to be remembered. I think in this kind of industry, it's very easy to become very self-absorbed. Do you know what I mean? Like, where's my next, and what am I doing, and how many people love me, and all this kind of stuff. But if you are able to transcend that and look at the bigger picture as to like what your work is going to leave behind and the legacy your work's going to leave behind. Like, I'm a Muslim. I very much believe in the hereafter. I very much believe that there is something to follow, and I very much accept that we're not going to be here forever. I don't think that's the thought of human beings. It's one of the realities of life. What use is it to me when I go if people remember me and they don't remember, what it is I wanted to share with them, which was like the bigger picture, you know, like the future generations, how we're going to be able to survive as human beings on this planet. How can we do that if we don't communicate, if we don't look at racial inequality, if we don't look at gender inequality, if we don't look at love, essentially, you know, analyze ourselves.
And I saw that there was an interview you mentioned that about how that's what your stories were there to do, is to cause people to think and to think differently, because in accepting the different opinions and different views that are out there, that's where the understanding comes. If I can see something different, and there's certain films that you've done, what was the one I was thinking of? Illegal Activity.
Sorry, someone's also asked the question in the...
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can see it here.
Jay.
Oh, okay. Would be lovely to know more about the Sky Development Deal. Don't worry, Jay, don't worry. We were just about to get on that. You're reading my notes over here. But yeah, that is something that I've seen you do constantly. And I love that you say it, but you do it.
Thank you.
Because it's one thing to say, but you actually embed it into your work. And because it's your work, that lasts forever. That outweighs your existence. So when you're gone, we have these archives of work that we can go into.
That's what fuels my passion. It's just a beautiful thing. It's a great industry to be in. It's a great line of work to be in.
And it's a responsibility.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a responsibility. Let's take on what Jay said. This Sky deal is, I don't want to downplay it in any way. It's big, it's major, it's amazing, and I stand for it. So yeah, give us a bit of a breakdown of what this Sky deal means to you personally. And I want to know how you felt when you found out about it.
Yeah, so the Sky deal, to answer Jay's question, it's not a focus group. It's a development deal that I have with Sky to develop some TV shows over the year. So it's a 1-year contract with myself as a writer. When I found out I had this deal, I don't know, I was shocked. I was pleasantly surprised, but it actually wasn't until I posted about it that I realized how big it was. And maybe it sounds silly, but when you're in the mix, I had a couple of meetings with Sky, so it was an ongoing process, and it's like, it'd be great to develop some shows, and then, you know, eventually there's a contract, and you're so much in the mix that you don't realize when this actually happened.
True.
You know?
True.
I had like three meetings with them, and then discussions, and then connected with my agent and so on. So before I know it, I've got this agreement. I was like, okay, cool, like it's happening. And then I posted it, and that's when I actually realized the magnitude of it, is when people, you know, like the people in watching this live, and people on my page were like, this is massive, oh my god, and then they started sharing it, and I was like, oh, this is big, you know. I started to appreciate what it means to other people as well, not just for myself, you know. So yeah, it's a huge responsibility, because now there's so many people are like, can't wait to see what you do with that, and I have to make sure I deliver and I do something that people enjoy and is also, again, in line with the messages I want to give. So yeah, it's just been an incredibly organic process, you know, and I'm just literally loving every second of it. Yeah.
And I think this is the thing about representation that can never be downplayed. Like, when we see these things and these achievements and these positions being filled by people like us, it's so inspiring. You know, Adelia says, whatever you do will be amazing and you deserve it. Exactly.
I love you.
Because sometimes that hard work that you put in, sometimes it's not highlighted. And you've been working for so long in the industry, but sometimes it takes things like this to say, hey, can we wake up and pay attention, please, to see what Sheila is doing and has done. And that representation, being able to see you in these roles, and like you said, that comes at a massive responsibility, because now people are like, okay, Sheila, what are you going to do for us?
Yeah.
Is that pressure ever too much? Does it ever get too much, or do you still just take it in stride?
I'm 100% taking it in my stride. It doesn't feel too much yet. it feels motivating to know that people are interested in what I'm about to do, and what I'm doing. It feels like I have my people with me, and that encourages me. Like the love, you know, people say all kinds of bad things about social media, and I know those things are true, but at the same time, I appreciate, like I said in your earlier question, I appreciate love. I appreciate kindness. I appreciate for someone to go and make the effort to write a comment just to say, well done. Someone who doesn't know me, someone who does know me, someone I haven't spoken to recently, someone I've spoken to in the same day. To me, that's an expression of love. And I appreciate that. And that's what happened when I posted about the Sky deal. I just had this influx of words, and people just saying, like, it was a community of people that I felt surrounding me, and it made me feel so safe and so supported. So it didn't feel like pressure. It just felt like I've got my people around me, and we're all going to win together. And what I'm doing is for you, and what you're doing is for me. I feel like there's a sense of connectedness that binds us all together, and I celebrate that, and I appreciate and value that 100%.
I love it. Everyone that's just joining us, this is 21 Questions with Sheila Nortley. We've had our quick fire round, but we're just going into a bit more of a story. We've looked at her childhood and the importance of that kind of loving environment and what that has created in her, and how she's now passing that on to her children. But we've also looking at the wins and accolades and her purpose, that her purpose is not tied to those things. Her purpose is in providing a legacy in her art, a legacy in her work that speaks. It speaks to generations to come, and it says something. It has a message. So I want to welcome everyone, and we're going to talk next into something that I wish I was a part of. I didn't have the confidence to do it, but I wish I was a part of this. Kingdom Drama School.
Oh, okay.
Years ago, I saw it being promoted and asking for, you know, actors and actresses, auditions. I was like, that's amazing, but I can't act. I wish I did. But I wanted to ask you, like, what made you start up Kingdom? Tell me what Kingdom Drama School was and what made you start it up.
Okay, so I started Kingdom Drama School in 2012 with Najan Ward and Dwayne Palmer. And the three of us wanted to create a school which allowed everybody access to some of the most kind of top tier quality drama education. What we found was that not everybody could afford to go to Lambda and RADA, and we wanted to create something that was affordable and also something that could be done part-time so people could study elsewhere. Hey, Shamari. Shamari, I'm talking about 2012. That's when I met Shamari. He was an actor. Started my film Zion back in the day.
The outside, yeah.
So yeah, 2012, we had this idea and we just launched it. At the time, we were shooting a TV pilot with Ashley Waters. So as that was happening kind of concurrently, it just built up, and we launched the school in the summer, I think, of 2012 with 250 students. I then departed from the company, but now Najan runs the company with Ashley.
Amazing. What were some wow stories that you had from there in terms of students that attended and went on to do amazing things?
Oh, to be honest, you know what? I've got a lot of those stories date back 2010, 2011. I just happened to be in a circle of people who were just super, super talented. So people like Samson Kayode, I remember when he auditioned, we were shooting a film with Amel Amin called Drink, Drugs and KFC. And we were trying to find a character called, an actor for the character of Skipper. And it was the last character to cast, and literally everyone that came in was just not suitable. And then Samson walked in and he just smashed it. Like, he just came in and we're like, oh my God, we've got him. It was that moment. And since then, he's gone on to do some incredible, incredible work. Also starring in that film was Aaron Fontaine, who again has gone off to shoot some incredible work. Also starring in that same pilot was Keeda Sterling Williams.
Okay.
There's just, yeah, loads of actors and actresses over the years. Arinze Kene was in there, and he's literally he's just blown up. He's doing his own thing. So the amount of it was just a small circle of people who were building, and everyone is sorry, Chino made me laugh. He still has my business card from then. I have like a box of Kingdom business cards from back in the day. But it's absolutely all love, and I'm so glad the school is still doing really well, and that Ashley is kind of really fronting it and doing what he loves, because I know it's something he's really passionate about.
What made you, was it hard passing on the reins?
No, it wasn't hard passing the reins on. It was hard. I'll use a pass card. For this.
Fair enough.
I forgot about that pass card.
You got the pass card. You got 2 pass cards, so I'll give you 1 more as well.
Thank you.
But no, it's amazing. It's amazing to be able to start things, and again, it's just testament to, it's just testament to you creating things that are beyond you, things that don't just lay within inside your body and that's it, but bring them out, and you don't have to be the face of it. You don't have to be the frontline person. It's again creating things that can live in our community and serve our community. So
absolutely, I think that's what's special about the school. And again, why I'm so happy it's doing well. It was never about me, and that's what I meant again with that quote. It was about creating something that can go on and do what it does. Exactly. In Islam, there's a concept called Sadaqah Jariyah, which means like the ongoing charity, the ongoing gift. Like, so if you do something that can continue to bless people and people can continue to benefit from, like, that's what it's all about. So yeah, that's with the drama school. I just feel happy that it's still going. People are learning from it. People are benefiting from it, and they don't need to know necessarily that I'm the founder of it with Jean and Dwayne.
Yeah, I'm going to apply next year. No, this year. Do it. And here's another quote. There are so many different ways to tell a story about love. So many different ways to express pain, feel pain, and deal with pain. And when you put it all together, you have a kaleidoscope of different tales just waiting to manifest on the big screen. Do you remember saying that?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
I think that is a perfect encapsulation for your art and the way that you create.
Thank you.
And that was, again, that was something that I saw in that program I was watching on Netflix. That, wow, like it reminded, because I was researching so much of what you're doing, I could see those elements where...
Called again, sorry?
It's called Grand Army.
Grand Army.
I could just see those elements, that there were so many different ways. There's just so many different ways to tell a story, but it takes people who are willing to take those different ways and not just take them at face value. So I wanted to ask you, for those who have not seen it, Illegal Activity was an example for me. Okay. So when I was watching Illegal Activity, I was like, oh, okay, this is one of those street films, and yeah, okay, cool. And then I'm not going to spoil it, but when I saw it happen at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, it's genius. Because it not only gave a spin on the story, it also showed me some stereotypical prejudices that I had. Right. I assumed it had to only go this way, because these were the characters, these were the protagonists, this was the storyline. But your stories have that double-edged sword. And I just wanted to kind of ask, how do you go about constructing that script and putting that kind of story together and put all those layers in there?
Again, I think it's just a very organic process. It's starting with the concept or the propaganda or the message and just building on that. A lot of my inspiration generally comes from real life. It's something that I've realized and I don't shy away from. So it might be a conversation that I've had with someone or someone I've met, or even just something I've heard in passing, and then I kind of build off of that.
And that was Zion. That was the premise of Zion.
That was so Shamari, I don't know if he's still here. Shamari, who was commenting, is the actor who played Zion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, with Zion, that was based on a real experience. Well, based on a real encounter I had. I was in the park one summer, and a young boy called Jacob came and asked me if I had a lighter or whatever. I can't remember. It was something like that. And I started to engage in a conversation with this teenager. He was like 15, 16 years old. And as we began talking, I asked him, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And he said, to be honest with you, miss, I don't. There he is, Shamari, still here.
Big up, Shamari.
So he said, to be honest with you, miss, I don't. Like, he told me he does not see himself here in 10 years. And it was really painful for me as a Black woman. I was, how old was I? Like early 20s. Really hard for me to hear that he didn't think he was going to be alive in 10 years. It was alien to me. I didn't grow up in that environment. I didn't grow up in that world, and it hurt me. And I found it fascinating. I wanted to explore that. So I created these two characters who met in this way, and then I kind of built a story around that. But then again, there was a double layer to it, which was I wanted to show him he was important. You know what I mean? So Shamari was there. He'll tell you the premiere. We went all guns blazing. We had Ashley Waters there. Yeah. We had, even in the film, we had Ashley Waters and Amel Amin in the film. And part of the way I pitched to them was I want to show Jacob that he matters. I want to show him, you know, like that we care. So we just pulled everything out of the park for that film, for the premiere. Yeah, it was a success. It was a success. So, yeah.
Nice. Do you have to be in a certain environment to write, or can inspiration just come from anywhere?
Right. So inspiration can come from anywhere. Like, it comes at any time. Like, it can come when you're in the shower. It can come when watching a film. Like, I just feel inspired, like, randomly. Can I write in every environment? No. Like, I like to write in a quiet space, which is not easy when you've got two small children. Yeah, I like to write in a quiet space. So I had an office space that I was renting up until this whole COVID thing started, which I would go and have that as my writing space. But yeah, I just need kind of peace to be able to access my thoughts.
Yeah.
And again, even in terms of like my mental and emotional state, I need to be in a place where I can be in touch with myself, like not just kind of thinking about a million trillion things, which is hard.
Yeah.
So happening.
That's so true. Someone say, Sheila, you don't understand how bad I want to be in one of your next films. Is that Tolu?
That's Tolu, all right.
Don't worry, we see you there. When do you know that a script is finished and done? Like, this is the end, yep, this is it.
Yeah, like, never. Never, ever. To answer that. It's just always such a work in progress. It's like, you can get to the shoot day, you can be on the shoot, and it's like, no, that line is not quite right, or the actor's saying it and it's just not right, and you still want to just kind of change it and improve it. And even when you see the finished film, you could be like,
wow.
You know, so it doesn't get to that stage, but I think that's part of understanding how it works in terms of writing. It's never going to be perfect. There comes a point where you just kind of have to surrender. So the current script I've been working on since when did I start? November 2019. It's about a year and a half, and I think I'm on draft like 30 something now.
Wow.
Only now is it at a point where it's ready to get into development, which means actually now you have a script that can be developed. Jeez. Like, the production houses won't look at a script until it's at a certain stage. Once it's at that stage, they'll say, okay, now we can come in and develop it. And for some people, that is at 30 drafts, 40 drafts, until you get to the stage when they'll actually look at it to develop it into what they would say is like a finished script. So the process goes on and on and on and on.
And
yeah, it does.
I've always wondered with scripts, because I feel scripts rely heavily on your imagination and your creative mind to be able to visualize what is being said. How do you, like, when you're writing, because you're writing words, how does it translate in your mind visually? Are you seeing them act out scenes and saying, okay, this is what would definitely be said next? How does that even work?
Yeah, so I see it, but I hear it actually. Okay. So I hear voices. I hear the voices of the different characters. Sometimes I will read them out from each perspective. I've done that on set before as well. It's kind of just imagining the rhythm of it and imagining what the person is thinking, because a lot of the time we don't say what we're thinking, you know, we kind of have a filter. So I kind of imagine what the person's thinking and think, well, would they say it, or would they try and deflect, or would they try and hide their pain by talking about the weather or whatever. So a lot of the beauty of screenwriting is in the unsaid and what that person wouldn't say, because they don't feel they're in a safe space, or because they have some trauma, or because they're embarrassed, and how that would play out in their body language. So I kind of try and get into the characters' heads in terms of what they're thinking, and then write what I think they would say. And then I read it, and then obviously you're bouncing off with different characters if there's various people speaking. With the action type scenes, because you get that in scripts where you have page upon page where there is no dialogue, but it's just action, then that's obviously very visual. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Big up, Delia. Are there any characters you've created where you were not too heavily, or just heavily invested in? So you're writing for that character, but because you have to really embody that character, was there ever moments where you had to say, okay, I need to stop this script for a second because it's so emotionally invested?
No, but the script I'm working on now, Birdsong, is the closest I've come to that. Okay. It's a huge emotional investment, and it's a very heavy subject matter. So yeah, that's the closest I've come to being like, I need to take away, and because it's based on a true story, so I'm reading real diary entries, I'm reading real letters, I'm looking at real pictures, and therefore I kind of, that's been like the heaviest.
And how do you separate that from your personal life, from being, you've just written 4, 5, 6 pages, and then your daughter or your son is crying, and you've got to switch modes?
Yeah, it's literally just that. It's like, what can you do? I don't have necessarily time to debrief and then put on another hat. It's kind of like, okay, close that and crack on. I think, again, because I have a great support network, a great support system, I know my moment. So I would be writing at a time. I couldn't write the script if my daughter was, in the same room or the same building. I couldn't. My attention would be divided.
Yes,
I would only start. You know what it's like with your 1-year-old. I would only start writing if I knew I was in that space to have the time and the emotional and make the emotional investment needed. Otherwise, I just couldn't do it in that kind of environment.
Yes, this is amazing stuff, man. A few more on that. I wanted to ask you, with your film that you did, what was it called again? Sometimes I Feel.
Yeah.
And in some interviews, you've talked about using reality as a tool, as you just mentioned. And I liked Sometimes I Feel because I've been in that situation personally. But on the flip side, I've been in a relationship where it was verbally abusive. But I didn't know I was in it. I didn't know I was in it till I was out of it.
Yeah.
And it really, sometimes I feel really shows you the slow burner of it happening. So sometimes films will normally depict, if it's a domestic violence film, you're in a relationship, one incident makes everything go wrong, and you realize, oh my gosh, he beats me.
Yeah.
So people question, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? When in reality, you don't leave sometimes because you don't even know it's happening. It's not even apparent. It slowly becomes apparent that, oh my gosh, this is the person who I love, this is actually the person who is hurting me. And I wanted to ask, with Birdsong, are you using that same tool with Birdsong in terms of using reality as the tool?
With Birdsong, it's 100% based on a true story.
Yeah.
So that is definite. With Sometimes I Feel, I think you have to draw on experience, or whether your own or other people's, in order to make it authentic. So both of them have definitely used truth and reality in order to tell the story, no doubt.
Yeah. And I remember you talked about Zion, you talked about when you were creating the characters, sometimes the characters or the actors would spend time with people in that environment. So if it was a road, street environment, they would spend time around those people.
Yeah.
Are there any other things that you pull on to kind of bring that story to life and to draw on that reality?
For which story, sorry?
Oh, no, as in, if it, for things like Birdsong or anything that you're working on, is there anything else that you use to pull on? Is it books? Is it interviews?
With Birdsong, not so much, because all of the elements are already in the material. So I've got, after the diary entries, the letters, the access to the real people.
Oh, okay.
Photos. So for that one, not necessarily, but for everything else, yeah, definitely. So again, with Zion, Shamari had to spend a lot of time with people who were in that kind of environment, because it was alien to him, and we were all. It wasn't a concern, because I met him, I'd auditioned him, been around him, I knew he could do it, but there was that question of, like, how is he going to go from this shy, sweet, innocent young boy who I met into someone who is believably caught up in this kind of world. So yeah, as an actor, I think a lot of actors and actresses also kind of immerse themselves in those worlds.
Nice, love it. Totally said, what is your film Birdsong about? Only if you can. And
I can't talk about it at the moment, but soon I'm having some really important meetings about it. So hopefully, God's willing, all will be revealed soon, Tolu.
Nice. Finally, on script writing, I wanted to ask, with the Sky Deal, you spoke about it not just being about you, but it was about you creating a table that others can come to. And with the responsibility that people are, inadvertently giving you, what are you going to do? What are you going to write about? Is there a way that you're receiving ideas or submissions from people and that you can give out?
There's not been officially, but it's been something that I've really wanted to do, which was open the floor out to people's ideas. Because again, when I put the post out, the response from the people showed me that this is as much their deal as it is my deal. So like, I wanted to ask, like, what do you want me to do with this? Because I've got some ideas, but I'd like to hear others. And then obviously there is I don't know, like there's from a legal perspective, I don't want to like get someone's idea and then shoot something. So I wasn't sure if I should actually do that. But that's something I've definitely been thinking about, is how and in what capacity to allow people to engage and tell me what kinds of shows they'd like to see, even if it's just thematically, without going through a whole story arc, but just saying, I want to see a show about XYZ. That would be really, really interesting.
Okay, guys, so if you're in the audience and you have some ideas, you know where to pop them. Sheila's open to them. Okay, you've done so well, I must admit. You've done amazing. One pass card, got one more left. Just two more things I want to touch on. I want to talk about jumping the hurdles. And from what you kind of mentioned today, and again, as I've seen in different ways, and different interviews you've talked about, you've got 3 hurdles that you've had to jump, or probably are still having to always jump: being black and being a woman. And I wonder if having your faith has ever been a hurdle. And so I want to kind of ask about those 3 hurdles, how you've jumped those hurdles in your career.
How I've kind of, I guess navigated them is to not see them as hurdles, is to see who I am as an essential voice that is needed in the narrative. So I see them as blessings and things that make me somewhat unique in the industry, and also beyond that, I do try to transcend those things, in terms of that sometimes you have people that they just want a black writer. We need a black writer for this because we've got X amount of funding. We need a black director, we need a female, we need a Muslim. Like, I would like to be able to exist as a writer, director, in a way that my peers exist, which is just to be what it is you are trained in, what it is you are skilled at, outside of having these other labels as part of your package. So it's twofold. I see those aspects of myself as a blessing through which I've got a certain specific cultural understanding and I don't know, like information about these cultures and subcultures. But beyond that, I'm a human being.
Yes.
Well, and I definitely can't be asked to speak for an entire demographic. Like, if you ask me to write as a Muslim writer, a lot of Muslims will come at me saying, why did you say that? Why did you do that? Why do you do this? Why don't you do that? Same as being a black writer, same as being a female writer. So it's a thing of just kind of knowing who I am, appreciating who I am, but knowing that who I am is actually beyond each of these individual categories. Though they might help people understand me, you know, in terms of it's easier when you have a label.
Yeah.
But it doesn't define me at all.
Yeah. I love that. That's a beautiful answer. That's a beautiful answer. Your last question is about legacy. And 10 years from now, what would you like your children to take away from your films? Say they had a night and evening when they were just binging on your films. What would you like them to take away as a message?
As a message, it would be one of the humanness of our people. The humanness of our people, because most of my work, in fact, all of my work revolves around people of color, and very specifically, most of my work revolves around around Black people. And I want to be able to tell stories about Black people that are not necessarily, that are universal stories about love, stories about pain, stories about our humanity, not just within the context of our Blackness or in the context of some kind of reaction to whiteness, you know, like.
Wow.
So I'm saying, and though those things are part of our story, they're not the entire story. So much more. And white people and white stories have the space to be able to exist outside of the perimeters of being contextualized and boxed in and reacting to others, whereas ours always seem to be very reactionary. So the reason I keep it so open is because I don't want to then say I don't want to write about Black pain. I do. I don't. I'm not saying I don't want to hear any more slavery films. I do. But I want to also experience so much more, because that's my way of contributing to Black Lives Matter. It's understanding that Black lives are human lives. We feel like everybody else. Black women are vulnerable just like white women. Black women are fragile just like white women. Black men feel pain just like white men. I want to see us as portrayed as human beings on the screen. And in that way, that's just reminding us that our lives have value and worth. And not just reminding the other, but reminding ourselves, you know what I mean? Reminding ourselves of our worth and our value.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, because we need it. And again, it just goes back to what I was saying about representation. If we can have people in such significant roles with that type of heart, then it means what is placed on our screens, what is placed on our, you know, in our cinemas, etc. It has that varied texture to it. I can see myself in this film, but I can see myself in this film. I can see myself in that character. Oh, but I can, and so like you said, it really knocks down the walls and, you know, shares our human experience as Black people as big of the range, you know, it is. And again, this is not even an advertisement for this film, but in that grand army, I see that. And again, that's why it linked me back to you, because you do that in those stories. You pull out the humanness, but you also pull out the different sides to us that even sometimes we don't see. You know, so I want to salute you 1,000 times. This is coming from somebody who discovered you just recently, but you're doing amazing things. And even in the comments here, you can see your community is here. Your community is there to support you.
Means a lot.
And
my cousin Antoinette just posted.
Hey.
Hello, Antoinette. Just again, this is what I mean. My family are just always showing love, always turning up, always supporting.
Oh, big up.
Thank you, Antoinette. Love you.
Big up. So you've made it through my gauntlet. I just wanted to open up the questions just for a few minutes, not too many. I know time is talking the hardest. So if anybody wants to answer a question, just click the function at the bottom of the screen where it says questions. And if you can put your questions there, I'll take 5 questions. So make them good, make them good. 5 questions. If you do want to answer a question, just click that function. And if you don't, that's fine. In the comment section, make sure you write down how you have found today's interview, whether you enjoyed it, if there's any gems you got from it. I would love to know. All right. Any questions? If you ain't got no questions, that's all right. Okay. I don't see no questions. All right. No worries. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. Sheila, thank you so much. Was it as bad as you thought?
No, it was really, really fun. Thank you so much. Your questions were really interesting, actually. So.
No worries at all. Oh, someone asked a question.
Thank you, David.
This is from I Am Chinome. Where can I send a self-tape for any of your casting or be informed of your castings?
Well, normally what happens, as Delia said, is when people are auditioning, they will post an individual casting call and say, we're casting for this character, this is the age, this is the look, please send your self-tape to XYZ. What you can do, if you just want to do like a general self-tape, is you can shoot something and you can send it to me, Chino, you can DM me, or you've got my email address, you can email it to me. And that would just be like a general tape. I would also really represent upshot reels. That's, UPSHOT reels, REELS, because they shoot incredible kind of monologues, really beautifully shot, which can kind of show some of the depth and range of your skill set, of your ability, of your talent. But again, what generally happens is when someone's casting, they'll post a casting call and give you specifically lines from the actual script, which you would perform.
Nice.
Hope that helps.
Another question here was, let me try and get it. Oh, somebody wanted to have a Zoom meeting with you.
Okay.
How is that possible?
Zoom is possible. Oh, sorry, I've just seen it. Oh, thank you. DM me, Zai. I'm just reading all the comments. Yeah, Zai, like I've seen you consistently engaging. You've been with us for the past hour and 15 minutes, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. So just DM me and we can set up a Zoom and have a chat.
Someone said, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer, what is it? Writing or directing?
That's a really good question. I prefer directing.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is only because it might change, but it's only because I've spent so long writing and I was not confident enough to put myself forward to direct. So I've written a lot and I haven't directed as much. So now that I've been directing and I'm much more confident and able to, in order to kind of, to direct, it's just, I've got the buzz for it now and I'm just really, really enjoying it. I think writing is always going to be my first love, but for now it's directing. That's interesting. Another question is, how can I support your projects? Oh, that's Olufemi. Thank you, Olufemi. That's such a lovely question, a kind question. You can support by watching the film. So some of the short films are available online on YouTube. Watching them if you like them, sharing them. I suppose that's kind of the best way, just to watch, to share, etc. Spread the word. Yeah, spread the word about them. Thank you. And last one, let's see. Tolu message 3 times. How can I get a role in Birdsong? Yes. So, Tolu, as I said, with Birdsong, that there will be a casting call out. Yeah. So no doubt you will see. and there'll be a casting call out, but it's still in still in development, so it's still, the script is going back and forth. There won't be any castings until it's finished and ready. Yeah, but when it is ready, I'll be posting casting calls as well on my page. But definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for 21 Questions with Sheila Nortley. Sheila, you've been amazing, and thank you deeply for your time. Thank you for sharing so much. And we just from the sit down, whenever we get somebody on the sit down, one of our biggest commitments is that it's not a one-time thing. So the aim is, if you come on this platform, we're there to support you for life. So anything you put out there, we're going to be there at a heartbeat to spread that out there. So just know that we have your back, and anything that you need from us, we are here, waiting, ready to go.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. It's so lovely to have your support. So thank you.
No worries at all. All right. Make sure you're following Sheila on Instagram. You can also check out her website, SheilaNortley.com, if you want to find out any more information, if you want to contact her. But guys, thank you so much for tonight. We're going to be back here next Thursday, 9 p.m, 21 questions, and we'll see you there. Make sure you click the link in our bio and you check out our YouTube page where you can check out all the 35 interviews that we have. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful night. Take care, Sheila.
Thank you. Bye.
No worries. See you later, guys. Thank you so much for your comments. Nadia said, beautiful interview. Judy said, looks like I missed a great interview. Judy, don't worry. We're going to put this on our IGTV if you missed it, so you can watch it from the start to the end. Big up JK, as always. Olive family, thank you for always joining us. Delia, my sister forever, man. Love you. You're doing amazing things as well. Juanita, thank you for setting this up. Amazing woman Sheila is. I am Chiname. Thank you so much for tuning in. Who else have we got? Mr. D, Antoinette, Thyra. Thank you so much. Who else have we got? Almary, Farah. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you follow the Sit Down UK. Click the link in our bio to watch all the rest of the episodes that we've got. Man, we had amazing episodes throughout 2020. We don't want you to miss them. All right. So, guys, if you want to, we're going to put this on IGTV, and we encourage you to share it. But until next Thursday, we will see you. Take care. God bless.